black swan seems to be causing havoc. I mean, you need it pretty much for every argument that you're going to use against the flat earthers, right? You need that physical, whether it's ranty, whether it's who else has got observation? Miles Davis, who else makes observation? Ruiff, using geometry. Rumpus. Without that geometric edge, it's not going to be kind of any measurement whatsoever. So, bit of a problem there. Which is why Witsit is out there. Has anyone been watching Witsit? And I'll speak at once. But yeah.
Yes. Yes, I watched Witsit.
Isn't it amazing what he's doing? He's out there on his own. I was with that guy, but he's out there.
I think that's the idea, that you're meant to think that it's amazing, but it's, he barely interacts with anyone, does he?
Because I think
most people just think he's a ranting lunatic.
Yeah, well, yes and no. But the reason why it was different for us, we had the billboard behind us, the advertisement, so we didn't really have to bellow out, the earth is flat. People would just walk past, they would see the poster, see us standing in front of it, and they'd be like, hey, what's all this about?
So he should do that. But what he's actually doing is just a little performance for people on YouTube, and he isn't really having any kind of activism effect.
I think it's more for his channel.
He's sort of acting activism.
I think it's just like the beginning stages, just to grow his channel, so we can say he's got content out there, he's been out there. Then, like I say, once he's with a team, you'll be able to put up that billboard, just stand there, sit down, or stand up, and then just wait for people to approach you. I mean, we had people all day just walking past, stopping, mothers, fathers, families, all kinds of professionals. Those two maths experts came along. What is this? This is nonsense. Oh yeah, and they got into a really long discussion. So yeah, maybe he probably just needs a bit of advertisement behind him, or a flat Earth T-shirt at least.
Right.
But he's doing.
He did try the little game show thing, didn't he? That those Kakalaki crew do.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's great. Just anything to keep the incentive to show people, that they have to rely on authority. I think it's just more of a social experiment, just to see the response to hearing information like this. And it only takes one person just to go away and listen to what's being said and research it, things like that. He's not going to change the whole world.
It's a shit tactic to set himself up as the font of knowledge on this subject by having three things that he knows the answer to that most people aren't going to know the answer to. That makes him now an expert because he knows stuff that most people don't know.
People like that. No. People like smart people.
Well, it's not smart though, is it? It's just a con.
Not really. I mean, again, he's offering people money, to demonstrate, to prove something, answer questions. He even gave some kid $20. So
it's sophistry. He's just asking for some esoteric facts that very few people know, and then when they don't know it, he parades around. What's that?
It reaffirms his idea that he's got extra special knowledge that other people don't have, that the sleeping masses aren't aware of, I mean,
I don't see it like that. I see it as him holding the torch for keeping it alive until, Europe gets their act together, until we get back out there and spread the word again. I mean, it seemed like it was dying, it was quiet, but, we've got the American tour, the Globelite tour, it's somewhat on the go, so I think that just keeps people ticking over.
It is dying. I tell you what, I was watching Mark Sargent, right? I thought he's bound to say some stupid shit I can use on my show. I've got three quarters of the way through Strange World. The only mention he's given to Flat Earth is he advertised David Weiss's app right at the start, and then there's some flat Earth meetup that he's going to that he's plugged a couple of times. Apart from that, he doesn't mention flat Earth at all. It's all about vaccines and masks and things like that.
Right.
Not a mention of flat Earth.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I say, there's things going on in the world that need to be addressed. Someone's got to do it, obviously. But like I say, with what Whitsitt's doing, is keeping the torch alive. That's why I like what he's doing. I follow what he's doing.
But you should take a vaccination, which according to you is bad for you. You should wear a mask, which according to you guys you don't need to. And there's a pandemic, which according to you guys there isn't. So you've got that, but then you've got the Earth's flat, and they've been lying about it being a globe. I mean, surely that still takes precedent. That's still a bigger lie than those three little lies, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter if people wear masks, really, does it? It would be better that they wore masks but realised that the Earth was flat. I think.
I think he's just following current events. Like I say, it's past. It's not that big of a deal. He's got his name written in stone, as it were. So I mean, someone's got to mention these things. Someone's got to keep the torch alight, and
you've got David Weiss, I guess, for that, because he keeps going. But surely he's going to run out of places he can be guested soon.
What the state flat Earth is in now is gathering. So it's like we've done the pitching. Now we're seeing new people come to the flat Earth. So there'll be a lot of new faces, a lot of new voices, a lot of new listeners. And that's when we kind of get back into the flow of things. But I think it always happens like this. There's a rise and a fall. But that fall is not because flat Earth is falling off. Because stress factors from the ball earthers. I mean, I watched Fight the Flat Earth the other day. The flat earthers are just mocking him now. Did you watch that one? The guy changed his hat about 3 times, 4 times in the show.
What happened?
So this flat earther's got on there, and he's just completely mocking the life out of Craig, and Craig's getting so frustrated trying to run a proper show, and the guy's eating on camera. He's eating bananas with the peel on. I think he was eating an onion. He was eating another fruit, like an orange with the peel on, or something with the peel on. It was unbelievable, and he's just going nom, 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 nom. And he's just going, yeah, but I couldn't remember any points he was making. It was just like a comedy show. I just saw Craig getting more and more frustrated and thinking, goodness.
Oh, I might watch that then.
Absolutely hilarious.
What was he called?
It's the last one he's put on there, I think. I think it's the last one. This guy has just mocked Craig.
So he's obviously like a Poe, would you say?
I don't think he's a Poe, but I think this is what's happening again today. With the flat earthers, they are so confident today in their beliefs and their knowledge. It's like a joke.
It's Latter-day Saints.
Is that his name, is it?
Yeah.
Hilarious. He was hilarious for me.
He's a moron, isn't he? He was on...
Yeah, he was on Modern Day Debates.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him before. I saw him on first time.
I've not seen him before, but he is a mong, isn't he?
But he was just mocking, and then he had his girlfriend telling him answers or stuff in the background, but being really obvious. And Craig was like, "Well, put your girlfriend on or something on," and there was just proper. We talk about proper dumpster. Kept changing his hat, and because Craig doesn't know what to do, because he wants to kick him off after about 10-20 minutes, but obviously he's thinking about the money. I want super chats. I want to, get paid.
Right.
So he's caught in a catch-22. So he let him run for about an hour, and then he just thought, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's not worth it at the end of the day, for someone like Craig. If that's all he's going to get, really, what he wants is like renowned, well-known flat earthers, people who know what they're talking about, who can argue back with, and he's just picking out randoms on Facebook or whatever.
Right.
I wonder what happened to Red. How, did they fall out or something? Why is he not doing it with him?
Oh, I don't know. Was he doing it with Reg usually?
Yeah, they had like some brand new format where Reds was going to be involved, and I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I think there was all this upset over these fundraisers, weren't there? And wasn't there? And
Yeah.
people have come out on different sides of that argument, haven't they? But I think the general feeling is that Reds is involved in some way, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
I haven't been following it that closely myself. I'm just kind of glad I'm not associated with them, really.
You kind of your instinct said just to stay in your lane. You know?
Yeah, and I think because I've never really had any involvement with them, now all this has gone off, only a couple of people have tried to lay it on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people haven't even bothered because they know that I'm just not associated with them. So
for me, Flat Earth is on fire right now. I mean, just like you get the sense that everyone knows about.
In the sense it's dying.
It's only when you're here you get that feeling. But if you look online, if you go out into the public, and everyone's heard of it. All they need is a conversation. Because what they've done, they've heard about it and heard, oh, it must be still crazy, as they've heard about it before. So all they've had is the reinforcement of what they had when they were growing up about flat earthers. Crazy. They've not actually spoken to flat earther. So I think we're poised and we're set. It's like they're laying the groundwork for us. When they tell everyone about it, all you need to do now is just talk to them about it. And quite fantastic. Those two girls on Witsit yesterday were well interested in. Not just really interested.
Did he actually get a decent conversation with someone?
I don't think he needs to even do that. I think he just needs to, because he's doing it in a way where he's preaching a little bit. Then. He's got the preaching side, so he's just talking to them. Not really looking for an argument.
I know, but you know what his style is, to produce this sort of wall of talking. And it's very difficult to pick out a particular point within it. And what he tends to do is he launches into this wall of talking as he's walking up to someone. And then they don't really know what he's talking about. By the time they're fully hearing what he says, he's sort of in the middle of this thing where the words don't really have any gaps between them. And he sort of finishes it off as when he's sort of 10 feet away from them, sort of shouting at their back. It just looks a bit... Well, it just makes him look like a mad person.
Not really.
And they just think mad person. They probably don't even hear what he's saying. They just hear a talking noise.
I mean, I think people are listening. Again, it's just something that they'll hear more than conversate with. So, like I said, they're not talking to him direct. So it's just more of him on the mic, and then people just listening. Whoever wants to listen, basically.
That's an even effective way, though, isn't it?
He would love it down Speaker's Corner. He'd be there every single week. Should arrange that for him, actually. Hey, Witsit, get down here to London. To Speaker's Corner for a couple of weeks.
Get on it, KIMO.
You guys would love that. Oh my gosh. We'd have to secure him and bodyguard him and make sure,
Stream it from 3 different angles, KIMO.
Goodness me. But he would do. That's what he wants. A thing like that, Gem, down Speaker's Corner. He would relish Speaker's Corner. From morning till night. On the box, and people would listen. He would have crowds gathering around him, right? Say, no, you're wrong. You're talking nonsense. And he'd be like, okay. And then he'd have his great.
But he is talking nonsense, and that should bother you.
Yeah, but then he'd be able to say.
Plus, he's got himself on every list in America now.
He flies. He'd have to fly.
He would definitely be on a watch list without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, of course, yeah, going outside the White House or them places. But it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Still alive. Flat Earth is still alive and well. We can hear the panic in the globe Earthers that are pushing the globe. I can anyway, at least. The panic.
What? Who is panicking?
Just the globe Earthers in general, really. You can just hear the panic, the frustrations. You know, they've had it up to here. Sick of the
KIMO, can I ask you a question? Are you guys a little nervous with Rumpus doing this Bedford level test?
No chance. No way.
No worries. Are any of you going?
When is it? I'll go, actually. I don't know much about it.
When? It's meant to be soon, right? It's got to be this month or beginning of July.
Is he actually doing it, is he?
It's meant to be. I think Phil was doing something for him.
What is he going to do? Like a recreation of the original 3 poles sort of thing?
I'm not 100% sure. I've heard something about 6, but I don't know what he's using. Maybe farmers. I think he knows a bit about it as well.
Because you know what Rumpus is like. He's as daft as this lot are when it comes to setting up these sort of things, doing anything practical.
I think it could be quite amusing if.
That's what I mean by nervous, Jem. Why wouldn't you support this? You're like, doesn't matter what they do, they're not going to prove it anyway. You know,
Brian, do you know about it?
I've heard about it,
but I don't know. What you will do is you will fail to produce a result, probably, or you will produce a result that favours us and find some way of denying it, or you will produce a result that favours you somehow and say, haha, look, that proves it.
But once the Rumpus is there, you know, that's why he's already throwing Rumpus under the bus now, because...
I don't think he's, you know, has he really thought it through? He's never done one of these before. You know, this takes some arranging, this stuff. You can't just turn up at 2 PM and get this job done. You know what I mean? It's a big job. Those 2 bridges are 6 miles apart. You know, you've only, the only way of getting from one to the other is down the canal.
The Rumpus is one of the most intelligent ball earthers out there. He knows the geometry, numbers, the maths, the whole works.
He's very clever, but I don't know. I'm not sure how good he would be at putting something together in reality.
Listen to this, is crazy.
What? He is clumsy. I don't think I've seen him give a presentation where he was prepared.
And has he ever built anything? You know what I mean? He can't get a PowerPoint presentation to work right.
Oh my gosh. Really throwing him under the bus already.
No, I'm not. He's just, you know, he's very, very clever, but he's an academic. He's not an engineer, is he?
What if Miles shows up, comes along?
Well, I'd have a lot more faith in Miles, yeah.
You love Miles's work. So Miles, whatever Miles does, should be good enough, right?
But if Miles had put his name to it and said he was going to do it and he was going, then I just don't think Miles would go into this without knowing what he was doing. Whereas Rumpus, you know, I always remember his thing about roulette and how he was going to win that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
just what his forfeit is if he finds.
You know what I mean? He's a very, very clever man, but has he really thought this through? You know how this is going to work in reality? You know what I mean?
Have you heard what his forfeit is if he finds it to be flat?
There you go, Gary. You see, you ask us, and it's your globers you need to worry about, not the flat earthers.
Why? We shouldn't be doing that. Rumpus should not be doing that. He just feeds into your ridiculous philosophy that this is required in some way. It's not. We've got pictures of the Earth. We can see it's spherical. It's unreasonable to believe that those pictures are fake. That what better evidence can Rumpus produce than a picture of the thing?
Yeah, but it's not a real picture, is it?
Well, you've got to establish that that's true, and you haven't established that that's true. And until you do, I'm happy to go with the picture.
We know they're taken in strips, not the whole Earth at the same time. Any image is never taken in one.
That's not true. and I don't want to argue this with you, Chemo, but you take my point. As always, I think this, like I say, I think it lends credence to your idea that these things need to be personally tested. I don't think that's true. I think that's totally bogus. Just a fake idea so that you can pretend the Earth's flat, because none of you apply it consistently.
So, I mean, your position...
So if he indulges you like this, he's feeding into the he's lending credence to that idea, and I don't think he should. We already have mountains of evidence that support this conclusion, and him generating his own little bit isn't really... I don't think he's useful.
Yeah, but I mean, what you're saying is the globe is unfalsifiable. Cannot be shown to be anything else because
I'm not. I'm saying it's already been evidence.
No, but that's not evidence already.
And any new piece of evidence is really, it's just a drop in an ocean of evidence. So if we already have an ocean of evidence, why do we need an ocean of evidence plus one drop of evidence?
Because we've been lied to about the shape of the Earth. So what we're doing is double, triple checking NASA's photographs with real world measurements.
Okay.
If we can't compare the real world measurements to NASA's pictures, well then something is wrong. Something is wrong.
You can look in the sky at Polaris, and you can look at the two celestial poles. There you go. Two more very easily accessible pieces of evidence for you.
Celestial poles can be explained on Walter Bislin's map. Not a problem.
Well, it doesn't matter if you think you can explain them. They still support what I'm saying. If you think that they support something else, then you need to really show how that's true, not just say the word perspective and hope for the best, which is essentially what you're about to do. So,
well, I mean, look, I hear what you're saying. It's kind of a yes or no, because no one's gonna like I say, someone can have an idea, can't they, about something. But if we have contradicting measurements, real world, physical, geometrical measurements that contradict everything that we've been told, it kind of doesn't really matter what a belief is. If you're going to say, I just want to trust these people, that's fine. But hold on, what this would do is increase the numbers. Now people who don't have a bias will be like, well, hold on, okay, so we've got the measurements that show no curve, but we've got these pictures that show curve. What can I do? Can I take those pictures, or can I make measurements? Can I repeat those measurements, or can I repeat those photos? That would be the bigger picture of word measurement.
If someone feels the need to do that, they can. But you say you've got these measurements and they don't fit what you've been told, but that's not true. You're just ignoring part of what you've been told and saying, oh, well, they don't fit this bit. And that other bit that I've been told, well, I don't believe that because it's inconvenient to me because I want to believe this other thing.
No, I'm saying Rumpus will make measurements. Well,
if he does, I will probably go because it's not that far away from me, and I would like to, I'd like to see it in action. It would be, it would be entertaining. I see the point from that point of view, but my view is like it's always been. I don't think we should feed into this false epistemology that you have, that's bogus epistemology.
Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? By making real world measurements. I mean, if we've been lied to, you would need to know. We have to tell you. We have to inform you. We've got to show you the evidence, the proof, and say, look, how do you explain that there's no curvature here when you're saying, things like that. That's all that will happen is. And then, if you kind of dig your heels and say, well, the picture, that will just show, you know what I mean? It will just show what's really going on, kind of thing. not to you, just saying in general. When you show people, look, I've got practicality here, real world, you can come with, you can do it yourself. How do you explain this versus that? And like I say, it's not going to be just for you, this will be for anyone. This will just help the argument even further when we speak to people. Like that. So, and I understand the worry, like, don't do it because you might reveal something don't want to know. But people have already done it. It's just that we haven't done it around Rumpus, around you, Gem, around Ball Earthers that need. So we've already done things like this. Like I said, Flat Earthers. The Ballers haven't. That's why Rumpus needs to come. So imagine that. It doesn't even matter. Imagine if Rumpus is like, okay, yeah, it's flat, and you're like, no, you did something wrong. You're gonna be arguing with Rumpus. It's just like same as Biodual. He comes back with no attraction. You're arguing not with me now, you're arguing with Bio. These are the ones that have done their experiment. They've shown that it doesn't support the globe in any way.
Well, that's your dream, KIMO, but
Oh, yes.
well done for manipulating into them producing evidence for you. But
yeah, that's my dream.
It will ultimately it will backfire, and then you'll just say they were shills or they didn't. You'll make up an excuse to ignore what they produce.
No, I have a dream that globe earthers will one day do their own experiments, their own measurements, and then measurements and experiments can come together. Yes, little experiments and little measurements, big measure, and they all come together, and we can all come together, understand that we actually do physical, practical science, and that's how you get answers. Then you'll realize you've been lied to. That's what I want. I dream of you guys doing your own things that you can see for yourself. Rumpus, go to the place yourself, make the measurement yourself, and then you will see yourself what we did, what you guys were afraid to do all these years. Same as Bio, do it yourself. Difficult to get you guys to do your own experiment. None of you want to do. You just trust. We're saying once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Exactly.
I trust the people with the expertise in those fields. I do.
Well, that's it. Think about it.
I believe in expertise. I believe that if a person studies how to do something and practices doing it, that makes them good at doing it. Better at doing it than someone that hasn't done those things.
I agree.
You subscribe to the idea that that's not true. That the people who haven't done those things, that haven't been educated in a subject and haven't practiced that subject, are more knowledgeable in that subject than the people who have. And I think that's stupid.
No. Try to listen to this then. So the secret shoppers, okay, they're not cleaners or professional eaters or cookers or chefs or cashiers, anything like that. All they need to do is go in and check that everything is in order. Okay, that can be anybody. Anyone on the jury. If you're on the jury, you don't have to be an expert, lawyer, solicitor, any of these things. You're there to make a decision based on what is presented in front of you. Now, anyone can do this. So when we're presented with something like NASA, we are the jury. And we come together and we say, what do you think?
Exactly. Exactly my point, really, isn't it? We are the jury. We assess the evidence. It's not our job to go and generate it.
No, but that was given.
That's the job of people like a forensics investigator, right? Or someone that investigates financial crime, is an expert in that, or art or something like that. They're the people who gather the evidence. The jury then assess that evidence, right?
Well, I mean, you can think of it as our parents and teachers taught us when we go out there is to make sure we critically think, analyze things, make sure that we're not being hoodwinked, basically. And so again, we're not just the jury, like I say, we're that secret shopper, making sure that there's nothing untowards going on. We just, on the clipboard, we check, tick, no, cross, tick, no. So with pictures, there's no real ticks. There's no ticks with the pictures. Yeah, we can't put a tick there because there are no real pictures. Okay, any evidence? So we've got the clipboard, gas prep, all that kind of stuff. Click, 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 click. It's all got cross, 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 cross. We go back. Say, look, there's no real evidence of these things that you say exist. So we take the board back to you as the mechanic, the doctor. This can be anything in life. You can always go back and say, well, hold on a second. You gave me the wrong size. I wanted a different size, or gave me the wrong medicine, or whatever it is. We can always go back and double check, which we do with NASA. And what we find is we need to triple check, which is why Rumpus and Biodual are conducting science and measurements to prove what they've been told is real. See?
I fell asleep during that. Okay.
Well, wakey. This is the point, you see. We're here to wake you up. Okay? There's a lot of people who are sleeping, who just want to just believe in like Tinseltown and everything's like honky-dory, when in reality, a very sinister atmosphere. There's a very sinister, dark spirit.
What is the point you're trying to make here?
Yeah.
Point of what?
Good point.
I didn't hear it.
What is the point?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Just both talk at the same time. What's the point of what?
What is the point you were trying to make here?
So we were talking about
You don't even know. You're just making talking noises, aren't you?
No. We were talking about
Jan, that's not fair.
I know what we were
Parents make
talking
talking
about. I
noises.
was saying that the teachers and the parents are teaching us. You were saying, oh, you just trust them. Trust the government. I'm saying no. Got to go out there and check the doctors, giving the right medicine. Make sure, the police are giving the right advice or information. Double check. All these things. That is the point of all of it. So you're just trusting NASA and the communities of science without checking. That's the point. I didn't forget, right? You would love that flat Earth is forgotten. Yet we have screw looses, but we're very on point. We know what we're talking about. We're always focused. Okay, we have facts, figures, and numbers. As I said, this is the leaders of the new school. You guys are listening to one of those leaders of the new school, where, like I said, people want information, and we're the ones to deliver it.
Yes.
Yes, quite right. I did start with the Black Swan by saying it's causing problems in every aspect of a global argument. I really don't want this to be a part of the argument. But again, someone like Rumpus will get this because he likes to draw his circles. Remember, he used to go through where the horizon was, how much we go over. So someone like Rumpus is definitely, we want someone like Rumpus to say, look, Rumpus, there is no geometry. All that geometry you were drawing on your diagrams, pointless, meaningless, because you can't use it in the real world. I think that's where we are now, is just, like I said, I think where we are now is a lot of the ball earthers are now starting to say, well, do you know what? We've tried to tell the flat earthers that we've got papers and somebody somewhere somehow has done it. They don't believe us. We're going to have to do it ourselves and prove to these crazy, strange flat earthers I think we've been lied to. Of course, mass attracts mass, like duh. Of course, we can measure curvature, like duh. So I think for the first time, Jeremy did call it a big year for flat Earth, globe Earth, whatever you want to call it.
KIMO, you know this go-go girl routine you do to get the room interested in the conversation? You don't need to keep on doing it once the people are here.
Say again.
Right? We're engaged with you.
No, he does.
What did he say?
The fire goes out quickly, Gary.
What did he say there about the go-go girl?
You have to get a good blaze going.
This is not setting a blaze, though, Jim. This is.
What do you mean, Gary?
They're people that they get to get the club dancing, KIMO.
Get the club dancing?
Yeah, they put them on podiums and they start dancing because people don't like dancing on their own, right?
I want you to stay
the room going.
I want you to stay
and you are the go-go girl, KIMO.
I want
That's
you to
what
stay
I'm
seated.
Okay. I'm firmly seated, KIMO.
Stay seated. Don't get too excited. But yeah, I mean, in terms of flat Earth, I think the ball Earthers are realizing, and we've never seen this before. I've never seen it. Ball Earthers saying, right, we're going to actually do it ourselves. Now the fact that, and this, even the ball Earthers were shocked that BioJewel was going to do an experiment. It was like, whoa, what's going on? Don't do it. Don't do it. What are you doing it for? Don't need to do it. Rumpus, don't do it. What are you doing it for? You don't need to do it. So we can now see, and I hope the people are listening, you know, what happens when all Earthers are about to do experiments or measurements. It's not really something other people want done. We're going to see a lot more of that. I think that's why Flat Earth for you guys feels like it's at a lull. We're in the best place ever. You know, we feel you're not going to space, Mars, the moon, none of that stuff is happening. You keep talking about, oh, well, when we do space travel, yeah, when you do space travel, yeah, when you do it. So,
well, I'm struggling for material, KIMO, this week. Like I say, the mayor of Flat Earth didn't even mention it in a 2-hour show.
like I said, talking about current times, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you're right.
More like rhetoric and propaganda to me than fact, KIMO.
On the first page of Flat Earth, so he doesn't really need to type of Flat Earth. He comes up on the first page, first search. So, I mean, keep saying more. You want more for your show, and I think that's, you know, we're not here for. I know you think we're here for entertainment-wise, but I think Flat Earthers are recognizing that once again, but yet again, it's not here for your entertainment. Which is why when you watch Fight the Flat Earth, it was supposed to, you watch the text chat after 20 minutes. Kick him, get him out, get rid of him. He's mocking you, he's making fun of you. This is not serious, he's a Poe. Get him off the show. Because the entertainment was supposed to be Craig making the Flat Earth look stupid. So once that, and we're getting that, that's the feeling we're having today of all the ball Earthers. It's not fun anymore. Isn't this not how I expected it to go? You know, say something silly, say something stupid, do something. That's why you're looking for the most ridiculous Flat Earthers to say the most ridiculous thing. And then that person should speak for all Flat Earthers. Like that. But for us, Flat Earth is in a fantastic position. It sits out there doing his thing. We've never seen that years ago. We've inspired him to get out there. That's what we were doing.
Well, you did see that years ago. There were plenty of people doing that silliness years ago.
Yeah, but I'm saying we inspired people to get out there. You know, Dal is inspiring people to get out there. You know, that's what we're doing. And now he's going to inspire. My point is he's going to inspire others to get back out there. Yeah? That's my point, is that everyone inspires one another to keep it going. And Witsit, it's certainly inspiring me to get back out there. Weather's good. Thinking, you know, people were thinking this is the time. So it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just, like I said, the ball Earthers caught position of what to do, arguing, worth it, strengthening their position or our position. Yeah, that's just where you guys are in the confusion. We're not confused about the shape of the Earth, right? You guys that ask us for models and maps and how it works and how have I been deceived and all this, you guys are confused. I think that's why it feels that way.
Well, you're not confused because you don't know any facts about the thing you live on, KIMO. That's the problem.
Says you?
Yeah, says me. Just said it. As I.
Yeah, that's just an opinion, which is fine.
No, it's demonstrable fact, because every time we press you on stuff, you go off onto some weird woo things. I mean, it's like you think that the pressure 10 meters under the water is the same as on the surface. I mean, fucking ridiculous.
If it was a demonstrable fact,
It is a
BioJewel
demonstrable
would
fact.
not be conducting an experiment in a vacuum.
No, BioJewel's doing that, and he said
If it
this
was a
many times.
demonstrable fact, I'm not finished yet.
Sorry,
If it
I
was
was in the middle of the
demonstrable,
sentence.
I wasn't finished. I just take a breath. It took 100 miles an hour, and then everybody can hear what I'm saying. No, allow me to if it was a demonstrable fact, then people like Rumpus would not be going out there to verify it for flat earthers or himself or for anybody. And that's the problem you guys are having, is that...
Well, that's an opinion, KIMO, isn't it? That's
Oh.
your opinion.
They're going
That's
out
your
there.
opinion. No, it's your opinion that that's the intent that they're putting behind their action.
If it was a demonstrable fact, people like Big Blue would not conduct cabinet.
No, that's your opinion again, KIMO.
It's been done numerous times already.
Yeah, it has.
Cavendish. Why on earth would he need to repeat it? For what
because he might be
purpose?
interested in doing it to go through that experience himself. Some people like doing that. I mean, you know, lots of people have been over a ton on a bike. I've done it myself. Doesn't mean I don't believe that. It means I wanted to experience that sensation. So again, you're inferring an intent, which great, you're allowed to have an opinion on that, but don't state it as fact, KIMO. Come on, be reasonable.
Interesting.
He said, laughing.
So, you know, like I say, you know, the numbers wouldn't be growing as they are if demonstrable facts. Facts are, you wouldn't need to go out and verify. There are cars, planes, volcanoes, mountains. Nobody does that. It's not the normal thing to do. I need to go out there and verify a volcano. I've never seen a volcano, but I don't need to go out and verify thing.
Because, like us, you trust on the reports that have come from geologists showing the evidence for the volcano and the tests and the data that they collected, the same as we have for stuff going into space, the same as we have for deep sea research, the same as we have for all the other higher levels of physics and theoretical physics out there. So we're in the same place, KIMO. I agree with you.
Yeah, if I had seen from NASA what I'd seen about a volcano, then yeah, sure. But we don't
pictures,
see
videos that could easily be faked.
Yeah, but we don't see people put like between the eruption and the blast.
Well, actually, yeah, you do. Look at the Mount St. Helens one, which is probably the best videoed. It's taken from two separate points of view, and they cut between it on every video I've seen. So there's no unedited video of a volcanic explosion that I know of.
I've seen videos in the past on National
Yeah, but
Geographic,
have you verified
Discovery
them?
Channel. That's what I mean.
For
me, it's not that big.
Geographic and Discovery Channel, but National Geographic have done loads of programs on.
Do you doubt
space,
volcanoes then?
And also on air pressure and pollution.
Do you doubt volcanoes?
Yeah, good source. Sorry?
Do you doubt volcanoes?
No, I've seen one.
Right. So, you know, we don't doubt things like that of that kind of nature. When it comes to...
Yeah, but I've seen it, KIMO. I've actually been on a volcano.
But we don't know anyone who's been to space, do we?
You know, so I can say from that perspective, I don't have to take that, you know, if you want to put it that way, that level of trust in the methodology and the data that's come back. If you've got to doubt all of that, then you can't take anything written or documented as factual. You have to go and experience it from yourself, KIMO, because that's what you keep demanding. Show me the experiment. Put it in front of me. Show it to me live. Where's your unedited video? You know, these are all the requests you regularly make. And yet you're happy to throw aside all of those standards that you have because you cherry pick something that you think might be a bit more reasonable, i.e. your opinion.
No, not at all. Things like space just requires a description and then a scientific experiment. So if someone describes to me the nature of space, I don't have to go there if we can replicate how space works. If we
can you replicate on a 1-to-1 scale the way a volcano works?
No.
No. So why do you believe in volcanoes then?
Not in contention.
Well, that's just because you believe the information that's put in front of you. You trust those geologists are telling the truth. But there could be a worldwide conspiracy.
Yeah, but they're not in contention,
hundreds of thousands of people falsifying all these records, which is what you want to claim for NASA and all the other space agencies and all the amateur astronomers out there. Which I find kind of strange that you want to hold that standard in one hand and go, no, this is fine, this is okay, I don't need to have that standard over here. You sound a little inconsistent to me, mate. I have a fairly standard approach to how I evaluate evidence. You seem to be all over the shop.
Well, volcanoes are not in contention.
Well, you keep saying that, but you've never seen one.
No,
So I think for you, they are in contention.
You?
For you?
No, they're not in contention for me.
Yeah, they are, because you can't believe any paper, you can't believe videos because they could be edited and falsified. You've never seen a volcano. You've never been on a volcano. So you don't know that they're real. I'm sorry, Kimo, I'm not going to let that slip.
Yeah, but for me, they're not in contention.
Doesn't meet your standard of evidence.
It's not in contention.
Well, that's just your opinion.
Yeah, my opinion is I don't doubt.
You trust that.
Yeah.
But then you just sort of like laissez-faire say, oh, but this other thing, I need a totally different level of evidence to get the same level of confidence, which is inconsistent, which was my point.
Well, it's not in contention, that's why.
But it's the inconsistency of your approach to evidence, Kimo. You accept this evidence on one hand, and we can provide you equal evidence for space to volcanoes that you have never been to. And we can show you that. And you say, oh, no, it's fake, it's CGI, it's this, it's that, it's other, because you have a bias, and you're now demonstrating this bias incredibly clearly.
Well, no, because you're...
Anyway, that's enough of me. I've bloviated long enough. I'll let you carry on your rhetoric and propaganda, Kimo. Go on.
Yeah, your explanation for space requires science. You're saying that gas being held down by a force. You're saying that the vacuum without a container. So, I could just believe that. That would be fine. Yes, we could believe that space exists. Vacuum without a container. We could believe there's a pressure gradient. The force that we don't know how. We could just believe that. Yeah, of course. That's what's in contention. There are many people.
National Geographic.
There are many
they
people.
Told you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my fault.
There are many people who doubt moon landings, space, gas pressure without a container. So I could just believe. There's no difference to me just believing the volcanoes. But because myself personally have tried to have gas pressure without a container, then for me that's not scientifically possible.
Well, you just haven't figured it out. That's the difference.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't figured it out.
But going back to the volcano. Now you brought up National Geographic. Now National Geographic will talk about the tectonic plates and the movement.
Hold on a second, Joyce. We've got a super chat.
Go on. No, super chats come first. I agree with that.
Jen, when you're ready.
No, hang on, I can't find it. I haven't got the bloody page open. Hang on.
Oh, so I can get to it.
I'm doing it. Sorry. Nearly there. Last click, and I'm there. Gary Bennett says, Kimo's titillations. Oh, shit. Hang on. I'm echoing into myself. Gary Bennett says, Kimo's titillations are not for Gary. Thank you very much for the super chat, Gary.
Is that to Kimo or to Gary?
I think it's to the world.
I think that was a statement rather than a question, Kimo. There was a lack of a question mark at the end, and he did include a really nice full stop. So applause to Gary for using proper punctuation.
So the idea of space requires science. So obviously, unless we're able to demonstrate that proposition of space being a vacuum with atmosphere or gas adjacent to it that is a gradient, a pressure gradient, one would have to ask, where on earth did this pressure come from and how on earth was it experimented?
That's a very good point. And again, when we go back to volcanoes, we're getting back to that pressure thing again. And the buildup of that pressure from a magma chamber below that volcano And generally, that weakening in the crust is caused by the movement of the tectonic plates of Earth. This is all behind, the volcanology model, if you want to put it that way. So, again, one of the things that volcanologists, I've never met a flat Earth volcanologist, because they kind of need all that magma and those tectonic plates and the stuff going on up there.
Who's just talking to?
I don't know, Kimo. I'll give you 3 fucking guesses. You can just say interesting again and just move on and ignore the point, which is perfectly valid.
But we're talking about space.
Because you don't have an answer. Yeah, and I'm drawing an analogy, Kimo. Do you understand what the word analogy means?
Yeah, but why are we talking about analogies when we're talking about space?
Because I'm bringing you back to the fact that you accept volcanology, but you don't, because it involves having pressure, tectonic plate movements, magma chambers, magma being forced up from, further down in the Earth. And again, volcanologists hold to a globe Earth. So I'm trying to understand why you accept that, volcanology and what you've heard on National Geographic is fine, and you accept that. But now you're asking for this special criteria for space, just because it kind of foobars your view. But actually, volcanology foobars your view anyway, yet you accept that,
But
which is weird.
What's the science?
I'm trying to understand.
What's the science for volcanology?
Well, I asked you a question, so if you can address that first, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because there's no science for volcanology.
Really?
Yeah, what is the science for volcanology?
Well, you're saying there's no science, so I'm looking for you to expand on that statement and give it some validity.
No science in volcanology. What is the science?
Yeah, you said that. Can you expand on it?
What is the science of volcanology?
Again, you're asking me a question. I'm waiting for you to address mine. That's how it works, Kimo.
I've just told you why. I've told you the difference. One has science.
No, I asked you to expand on that point. You say there is no science for volcanology. I don't think that's true, Kimo, and I'm interested in why you think there is no science for it.
Because I've never seen anyone conduct science on volcanology. Have you?
What do you mean conduct science? Make an observation, that's science.
I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know. I've never seen one before. I've never seen anyone do science. You're talking over me.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'll answer that question. So can I answer that question, or
yeah, but I'm saying to you, I've never seen.
I heard that. I've heard that bit 3 times now.
Well, let me finish my point then.
Go on.
Never seen anyone. I've never seen a volcano.
Science on volcanoes.
I've never seen a volcano. I've never seen anyone conduct science on volcanology. Mm-hmm. I'm asking you, what is the science for volcanology?
You've heard of geology?
What is the science for geology?
No. Have you heard of geology?
Heard of it. I don't know what it is. What's the science for it?
Okay, cool. Then maybe you should go and look that up. I'm not going to provide you the foundation for a subject in a Discord server. That would be really rude to everybody else
me to go somewhere?
Who has at least... I haven't finished my point, Kimo.
Yeah, but I'm saying you're saying I need to go somewhere.
Okay, I'm just going to go... Are you going to actually let me finish the point? You're going to
before you carry on, are you saying I should go somewhere?
Bloviating, Kimo. That's fine. I can't get a point out because you want to block me. Go on, fundy me all you want. That's fine. I will go back on mute so you can carry on this ridiculous rhetoric. I think I've made my point.
Okay. The difference between obviously a volcano, base, atmosphere, one requires science, other requires know what it requires. Say what it requires. As far as I'm concerned, there was no science in volcanology, none whatsoever, and that's why believing in a volcano is not that big of a deal, because it doesn't require science to know it exists. All it requires is a video or somebody's account of saying they saw one. Not that big of a deal. They've been reported on. All that kind of stuff that you would like for space is different. The one thing that makes it different, science. See?
I've seen someone
with space. What?
I've seen someone doing science on volcanology when I was in Stromboli, a volcano in Italy.
What is the science?
There's that. Well, what he was doing basically on the volcano itself, he was documenting the eruptions and everything. So that was the first, that was one part of the science. He was documenting what he was seeing.
What? So So you go to a volcano, you see it erupt. That's science.
That's one part of it.
Well, that's what
That's
I'm
one
saying.
part
Like, you're just looking
of
at.
the science. That's one part of the science, like documenting what you see, what the volcano does, and what he did back then in the lab, or no, not in the lab, but in his office or whatever,
Let me
is
just
something else. But
clear
yeah,
it
that's
up. So let's say you've
one
got
part.
a young guy who lives next to a volcano, writes a diary, and he writes down in his diary, "Now I see a volcano erupting, date," and then
Why are you doing this,
the
KIMO?
volcanologist. Why are you interrupting me?
Well, I'm asking a question. It was an interjection.
Yeah, hold on. Let me make my point. You said you were giving up on your point. I did ask you for the science. You didn't want to talk about it. Linda here wants to talk about it. I just want to go for the finer points. Bring you back in a second. Zinda got the kid in their bedroom near a volcano with a diary, writes down, looking at the volcano today, no eruption. Oh, now volcano is erupting. We need to escape from the house. We need to run and find refuge. As that volcanologist is also writing down at the site, volcano erupts at this time, the lava port, blah, 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 blah. What's the difference between the kid writing his diary and the Are they both doing science, basically?
Well, I mean, if the kid was writing it down really precisely and documenting every single thing really precisely, and then going back, and let's say he just gave all those documentations, he gave it to those scientists who then made those models and everything, I would say, yeah, the kid did a part of the science. I would say yes.
So by giving them to the scientist makes that document science.
Well, what he did, like his observations, and if he wrote them down precisely enough and everything,
Just a
and
diary,
then
though.
after that, if he gave it, like, since he's a kid, he probably cannot really do anything like useful with those information. So he's gonna give those to the geologist, and the geologist is gonna make his model and everything. And I would say yes, the kid did a part of science by just doing the observation.
Okay, so if a police officer stops the geologist or volcanologist, what are you doing here, sir? I'm observing you looking at this volcano. So he writes down, I'm observing man watching volcano. His name's blah, blah, blah. He was here at blah, blah, blah time. Is the police officer doing science?
No, he's conducting an investigation.
That wasn't for
KIMO.
you,
reason...
I wasn't asking you. I was asking Zinda.
So I got blocked from making a point.
Because I did ask you a minute ago. You didn't want to engage. You messed around, playing games. Not trying to time waste with silly nonsense. Zinda's being polite, engaging in the right way.
Hey, KIMO, can you stop being a dick to everyone in the voice chat at the same time? Thanks.
Okay, so Zinda, is that science, the police officer? Yeah?
No.
Oh,
Shit analogy with the police officer. I would suggest as an introduction, you visit the Wikipedia page called Prediction of Volcanic Activity and look at the large number of very big complicated words and tests that volcanologists do to successfully predict when an eruption is going to take place. And once you've read that, I'd like you to come back and explain how that doesn't involve any science.
Is that the science, Zinda?
Why don't you go and read?
No, I'm not going anywhere. I want you guys to talk about it now. If we presume we're not talking about space, we want to talk about volcanoes. Well, let's see where the science is. How is this? What's your independent variable then for the geologist, volcanologist? What's our independent variables in there?
The appalling
Go on, sorry, Edric.
The appalling logical fallacy you are committing yet again is you're saying, because I've never heard of it and I don't know anything about it, therefore it doesn't exist.
I'm not saying that. I'm asking you guys to help me out and explain.
Exactly what you're saying. You said, in your opinion, there is no science in volcanology, right? Presumably, the study, just to pick a few things out of the Wikipedia page, analysis of seismic activity, the study of harmonic tremors, patterns of seismicity, seismic case study, iceberg tremors, gas emissions, multi-component gas analyzer systems, ground deformation as famously used.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm back in a second. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'll be back.
Take your time.
Sorry, guys. I was just getting the shits with it. There's a massive amount of very serious science in volcanology.
I've just posted in there observational versus experimental studies. And the thing that's annoying me about it, I mean, KIMO is just being, pedantically stupid now because he's trying to say, well, if a policeman comes up and, no, he's doing an investigation. He's not doing a scientific study. The reason that someone who's studying a volcano is doing a scientific study is he's starting off with something along the lines of, why do volcanoes erupt? Let's watch some volcanoes.
Yeah, now all of a sudden you want to talk about
how many birds migrate? How do birds migrate? These are all observational studies that we do, and it's all fucking science.
Okay, so I want to
remote
see then
sensing using
if this
satellite
is
sensors, cloud sensing, gas sensing, thermal sensing, deformation sensing using interferometric synthetic aperture radar, use of digital elevation models, forest monitoring, infrasound sensing. Right? Someone explain to me how you can predict when a volcano is going to erupt.
What's the independent variable then of this volcanic eruption?
Or without making observations.
No, that's exactly right.
Edric, can you?
Is the first part, and as I say, that you can have
you've got a
studies that are
serious
just
problem here because a minute ago I was engaging with you in good faith,
go to experimental,
and then you didn't want to talk.
You can have studies that are just experimental because you asked a hypothetical question and you're testing it.
And as always, there is nothing more empirical than developing a model.
I was muted on the
using
live.
that model to predict something, and then the prediction comes true. That's about as empirical as it gets.
It's strong correlation
Edric,
to the terms.
yes.
So sorry, I was just in the middle of something. You go, Kim.
Well, Dress, I was just engaging with you, and you just said I made my point. You went on mute. You didn't want to bring up any further, and it seemed very odd and peculiar and strange that as soon as others are participating in the subject that you brought up, or I brought up, and you continue, didn't want to continue, now want to engage and derail other people's points and parts.
No, I want to participate in the conversation, Kimo.
But you didn't want to participate. That was the point. I asked you first.
Participating in the conversation doesn't mean that I have to address every fucking comment to you. It means I can be part of an overall conversation.
Okay,
because
then,
as you say on a regular basis, Kimo, haven't finished my sentence. This is not about you.
It's not about me. It's not a one-on-one.
Yeah, so stop making it about you.
I was asking questions about these about the scientific method.
Yeah, you disappeared for 4 minutes and then came back. And we were in the middle of a sentence, and you decided to interrupt at that point. You could have had the courtesy to wait. I then said, no, you go ahead, Kimo, but you then had to make some bitchy little childish statements. Yeah, so please now go ahead and make your point.
That is exactly what happened, Kimo. That was totally
It was what happened, yeah. So let's continue. Okay, there's no time to waste. Flat Earth is not dead. Flat Earth is alive and well. There is no evidence for any globe, okay, and these are the ways that we're going to find out, and if we have to go through the volcanic route to get there, that's fine, okay, but I did ask, what is the science for the Vulcan people, how do they do it, can we conduct this in a laboratory, and there are no answers.
Well, I asked you, do you understand what geology is? And you said no, and I said it'd probably be a good idea for you to get a bit of an idea of that before you start asking questions about it, because geology is the foundation, and from that we get to volcanology. So it's a bit like saying, hey, let's talk about division, and you don't know what numbers are.
Yeah, all we're interested in is the experiment, your science. So every experiment is obviously eluded by science. So where is the science that ends with an experiment?
Well, you don't need you didn't need to end with experiment to do science. You can do observational studies, as has been put in the chat for you and shown to you many times. So yes, experimentation is one way of doing it. You can disagree with that, but unfortunately the rest of the scientific community, and I generously made you part of that, disagree with you.
Okay, that's fine. I disagree with that, like I said. So,
yeah,
Zinda,
so I don't agree with you, and you don't agree with me. Where do we go from here?
We asked Zinda if we can find an experiment to go
No.
with.
We need to sort out the experiment versus observational. We disagree with each other's point here. How do we move forward? How do we get to some sort
just told
of
you.
position of agreement on our 2 points?
The only way is with an experiment.
No, I disagree. We can use observational science as well as experimental science.
Well,
In
no.
fact, sometimes you can't use experimental, and sometimes you can't use observational, and sometimes it's a mix of the two, depending on what you're looking to achieve. So, I disagree with you that observational science isn't science. I think it is science, and it is widely used in science. You disagree with that, and I'd like to get to the bottom of this point because it does cause a lot of problems and issues.
Like I say, unless there's an experiment to back up your hypothesis, it's just poetry.
Everyone knows you just breezed past the question, didn't address it, didn't do anything with it. I'm going back on mute. Have fun, guys.
Well, look, it's a little difficult to fit a volcano in a laboratory, but the other way you can do things empirically, and I think you're away when I was talking to Druss about this, is if you, as has been done with volcanology and lots of other branches of science, where you have hundreds and hundreds of scientists who have made observations for decades and decades, and they develop a model, right? They do all sorts of observations and they make correlations, and they develop a model that they believe they can use to predict when a volcano is going to erupt. Now, where the rubber hits the road is when you predict that a certain volcano is going to erupt, and then you go out and observe it, and it does erupt.
Not that difficult.
When you use a model that you have carefully created to make a prediction, and the prediction then comes true, that's about as empirical as it gets, and it's repeatable because the models they're using repeatedly make quite accurate predictions.
It's just about pressure, that's all. So they've just got to figure out how much pressure is down there and when it's about to explode. It's not that big of a deal.
Do that.
No big deal here. This requires bomb experts. This requires pressure experts. And all they've got to do is just figure out how big the mountain is, how big the volcano is, the land around it, and just figure out the pressure. That's all. Not a big deal.
What you've now just admitted is, I mean, and look, you've described perhaps 1/100th of 1% of what they do, but you've basically now admitted that they do use science.
No, because sometimes the people they don't know when it's going to explode or erupt.
Let's keep it down to the intellectual level of an unwashed sock, and say that all you need to do is measure the pressure and then measure the size of the volcano, and somehow that's all you need. Okay, how do you go about doing that?
Taking measurements, not science.
What would you take a measurement of?
The pressure.
Yeah, right. And how much pressure would it take for you to be satisfied that the volcano is going to erupt?
I don't know. I mean, it depends what the tolerance is. We'd have to look at previous ones, explosions.
Okay. So
all of that, again, it's just trial and error. No science involved.
No, it's not trial and error, because if you guess, if you make guesses and apply the law of large numbers, you'll be right about as often as...
They've had guesses over the years. Now they know through accuracy of the size and shape of them.
Don't interrupt me. If
What?
you're guessing, then you'll be about as accurate as if you toss a coin. Right?
Yeah, they don't know exact time and date. They just know around this time.
If you can make a prediction that's accurate 80 or 85% of the time...
Do they know it to the second?
Of course they don't.
Right, so that's not science.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's only science if you can predict it to the second.
Right. Absolute, yeah.
All right. That's ludicrous.
Well, with our science with the scientific method, we know absolutely the cause to the effect. 100%.
Look.
Where does science claim absolutes?
ludicrous dogma that all of science can be boiled down to an analysis of cause and effect. That's ridiculous.
Let's say, for example, Biogeorge's experiment. I know the cause to this, which is the atmosphere. Yeah, you remove
Listen,
it, and it doesn't move.
Right,
Then
repeat after me. Not the cause
you
to
breaking
the
up, or is
effect.
it me breaking up? Am I breaking
Right.
up, or is it?
Can you just say cause of the effect, not cause to the effect? I mean, that's just illiterate.
Cause of the effect.
There you go. All right. So are you saying that all science can be boiled down to analysing cause and effect?
Cause and effect.
All right. So is medicine science?
Medicine, chemistry.
No, medicine. Is medicine science?
What is that? Chemistry.
No, it's medicine, KIMO.
Chemistry,
Do you not know
yes.
the difference? Do you not know the difference between medicine?
Medicine and
You don't-
chemistry. What's the difference
You
between
don't.
medicine?
Well. If you do a Bachelor of Chemistry, you don't spend an entire year studying human physiology and anatomy.
All right, just tell me the difference between medicine and chemistry.
There's no pathology in chemistry.
Differences in what? One is science, one is not. What do you mean?
I'm asking you the question if you think that medicine is part of science.
You like potions and stuff.
No, it's not Harry Potter.
What do you mean by medicine?
The thing you go to study at university to become a doctor.
What about the body? Biology then?
No, biology includes studying plants.
Not.
Do you have any idea what people study when they go to university to become a doctor, or is that beyond the scope of your knowledge?
Look, let me know what you think. You're making the point.
I know what I think. I asked you the question, which you've unsurprisingly failed to answer.
No matter what I think.
Well, why do you come here all the time and insist on ramming what you think down everyone's throat if what you think doesn't matter?
Well, just to raise awareness that we do not live on a globe. We've been lied to about space and all those things. Right?
Your raison d'etre is to come here all the time and quote unquote educate us.
Educate?
Right?
On what?
On the flat earth, on the fact that we've been lied to all the time.
No, what we do is we show globe earthers that they've been lied to about the shape of their earth. Then they say, no, we haven't. And we say, yeah, you have. And then we say, well, do you have any experiments to prove your globe? And then they say, yeah,
do you have an experiment to prove your flat earth?
Experiments,
Okay.
no, not to prove flat earth, no.
Let's play my favourite game, KIMO. Let's play, I'm going to apply your standards of evidence to you. Right? Remember we had that discussion a couple of nights ago?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Yeah. So let's say
Let me finish my thought. Right? A couple of nights ago, you agreed with me that if it doesn't involve an experiment, it's pseudoscience. And if you can't measure it, it's pseudoscience. And then you went on to agree with me that there are no measurements and there are no experiments following the scientific method to prove that the Earth is flat. And you then agreed with me that as a consequence of that, the flat Earth is entirely based on pseudoscience. Now, if you've changed your mind in the 2 or 3 days since we had that discussion, if you've remembered a scientific experiment using the scientific method with a hypothesis and dependent and independent variables, then feel free to educate us all about it.
No, look, all I'm explaining to you is that we've been told that we're on a globe.
That's right.
Yeah. So when we try to demonstrate and prove we're on a globe... Oh, one sec.
Sorry, I forgot to mute before I made a cup of tea.
Has anyone seen any good flatty stuff? Because I am really, really struggling. And I've only got 20 odd hours to go, 30 hours to go.
Before what?
Before my live show, where I show all this stuff that I haven't got yet.
It's
I've
been
only
a
got
while.
half a show so far.
I'm just trying to think the last time I heard a new argument.
I'm not seeing anything, Jim. I do have a quick question though. You know that super long documentary that they had, which I sent you? Have you seen
Oh,
that?
yeah, I haven't done that. Guess I should do that shit, sure.
Well, I sent you the full one, which is all 7 parts. It's an unlisted video, but I mean, it's 5 hours long. I've not checked to see if it's still there.
Oh, no, he's not reposted this. Oh, no. I thought this had been lost to YouTube history, but this is a wonderful video.
That is an amazing video.
Oh, that's thank you for that. That goes in the show straight away. Beautiful.